I do not handle anything as relates with credit cards. As you heard me speak today in my board meeting, I do not handle it.
Some of those charges are for you.
No, sir.
This administration is shameful. Y'all are a disgrace.
We're watching all this administration.
It's safe to say things are heating up in Dolton, Illinois, and one person stands right at the center of the storm: Tiffany Henyard, the supermayor, who's found herself under fire from residents, trustees, and even her own friends turned critics. So what's got everyone buzzing? It's not just her flashy public appearances or the big speeches she makes about serving the people. No, it's the rumors and accusations of over-the-top spending, misuse of public funds, and a police force that seems more dedicated to her personal errands than to the safety of Dolton citizens. And with a re-election bid on the line, Henyard's got her hands full, and her critics are louder than ever. I got imagine this: a small town in financial trouble, millions in debt, while its mayor reportedly flies first class, hosts lavish parties, and decorates the streets with billboards bearing her face. And she's not just anyone, she's Tiffany Henyard, who's been dubbed everything from the worst mayor in America to Dolan's dictator. It's hard to believe that just a couple of years ago, Henyard came in as a symbol of change, fresh from running a small burger joint, ready to shake things up in the village she calls home. Fast forward to today, and Dolton's residents are starting to wonder if this super mayor might be just a little too super and way out of touch.
Mayor Henyard fired her chief of police late last year without any approval from the village board. So now Robert Collins has filed a lawsuit against the village.
Let's rewind to one of her latest public gestures: a food box distribution program. On the surface, it's a heartwarming initiative: boxes filled with groceries, a cooking segment to inspire residents, and a chance to meet the mayor. But it seems that every time Henyard tries to polish her image, the controversies pile up even higher. The program includes cooking demos with free groceries for Dolton residents, but critics say it's more about the spotlight than the service. Some describe her handing out food as if she's auditioning for reality TV, giving off more of a celebrity mayor vibe than a public servant. And that's where things get interesting.
Her fault. It's her problem. It's her responsibility, and she failed. She failed everything.
Henyard public displays aren't winning over everyone. In fact, the community's patience is wearing thin. Despite her efforts to appear as the people's mayor, residents are fed up. They're tired of her big promises and elaborate gestures, which they say come across as hollow when they look around and see how their town is really faring. As she stands posing for photos and playing up her role in these events, whispers and murmurs ripple through the crowd. For many, Henyard's food distribution feels less like community support and more like a publicity stunt, a desperate attempt to keep up appearances while her administration crumbles under mounting scandals. The legal appointment, that's what the trustees I talked to are calling this. They say the news took them by some surprise, and now they're talking to legal counsel to figure out their next steps. The once friendly trustees and local leaders who helped Henyard rise to power are now backing away. Former allies who used to cheer her on are distancing themselves, some even turning outright hostile. According to one trustee, Henyard only surrounds herself with people who say yes, people who will nod along without question. And she seems oblivious to the growing resentment. Henyard might be handing out food, but for a lot of Dolton residents, it's not enough to mask the problems bubbling beneath the surface. Is their emotion to terminate Kai Freeman? So what's really going on beyond the public displays of goodwill? There's a dark side to this super mayor persona, and it's all wrapped up in a string of scandals that have rocked Dolton. Start with the money. The town's finances have gone from bad to worse, and the numbers are shocking. When Henyard took office, Dolton had a balance of over $5 million. Fast forward to today, and Dolton is millions of dollars in debt. It's almost unthinkable how quickly that happened. And residents are paying close attention, so that's one of the reasons I vote no. When we go through our board packets, it's like you know some of this stuff, it's like you don't know exactly what it's for. And then when you ask a question, there's no answer. Where did all that money go? Well, that's the million-dollar question. Financial records show job-dropping expenses under Henyard leadership. Picture this: a $43,000 spendings free on Amazon on just one day, and all with taxpayer funds. And that's not all. There was also an $85,000 event that featured big-name entertainers, apparently on the town's dime. She's been accused of spending public money on everything from first-class flight to luxury hotel stays. And not just any hotels, we're talking places like the Four Seasons, where a night stay can cost more than many Dolton residents, making a month. One way that the government always does it is to go and investigate people around her. And that's what they're doing here. The more you look, the more Henyard lifestyle seems like something out of a celebrity playbook. According to insiders, receipts are rarely provided, and when they are, they often show vague descriptions that make it hard to understand what was actually bought or why it was necessary. Some residents are furious, calling her out for spending the town's money on what they see as her own extravagant lifestyle, while the town's budget suffers. As one resident put it, "It's like she's living in a different reality while we're left paying the price." And it's no exaggeration, people are starting to question why these funds weren't spent on things like fixing Dolton crumbling infrastructure or improving public services. We talked to Tiffany Henyard's landlord, and she says she came to this Thornton Township meeting Tuesday night hoping to get paid what she says she's owed. What's more, Henyard's spending hasn't just caught me detention of Dolan's residents. It's reportedly under federal scrutiny as well. There's talk of a full-blown investigation, with federal officials reportedly digging into Dune's financial records to see if her lavish expenses can be justified. Henyard insists she's done nothing wrong, claiming the expenses were part of her job to attract resources to Dolton. But to many, it feels like she's taken her role as supermayor to the extreme, turning her office into a personal luxury pass. Hey guys, this is Supermayor Tiffany Henyard, the people's mayor and people's supervisor. Meanwhile, Henyard's response to critics has been as bold as her public appearances. In one recent live stream, she didn't hold back, lashing out at what she calls a coordinated attack by people jealous of her position. Instead of addressing specific concerns, she doubled down, framing the criticism as an assault on her identity and accomplishments. "They don't want to see a powerful woman from our community succeed," she told viewers, suggesting that her leadership has sparked resentment simply because she doesn't fit the traditional mold. But for Dolton's residents, this speech did little to explain the glaring inconsistencies in her spending and only deepened suspicions that Henyard is more invested in fighting her critics than fixing her town's problems. Now she's teasing a big announcement that she claims will result in some of her opponents being arrested and charged. Henyard's increasingly defensive stance has only escalated the tension. When asked why she spent so much on her personal security, she insisted it was for the safety of the community, but residents see it differently. To them, it feels more like a barricade between the mayor and the people she was elected to serve. And while Henyard claims her actions are for the community's benefit, her words are easing public concern. Some locals have even joked that Henyard seems to view herself as Dolton's celebrity and chief, disconnected from the reality around her. Each statement she makes only raises more questions, as residents wonder if Dolton's supermayor might have lost touch with the very people she vowed to uplift. Here to appoint my applause police. But it's not just the financial side of things that has people talking. Henyard's reputation for allegedly using the police as her own security team has raised eyebrows, and it's adding fuel to the fire. Imagine this: while Dolan's residents worry about safety and crime, the town's officers are rearing to portly, assigned to follow Henyard around, sometimes on personal errands. It's like a scene from a reality show, officers on standby accompanying the mayor wherever she goes, even while residents feel their own neighborhoods are being neglected. Of court, the judge today declining to hold her in contempt, but did warn her that if she did not follow the ruling, he would. In some cases, residents and journalists have reported being blocked from public events, unable to get close as Henyard and her entourage arrive with a full police escort. Critics say that Dolton's police force, which should be focusing on community safety, is being used to shield Henyard from her critics. And it doesn't stop there. Some town officials say they felt intimidated or even targeted by her police detail, raising questions about whether Henyard's administration is trying to silence opposition. We believe strongly that that meeting was improperly called and improperly held. The residents of Don't adding to the outrage. There are reports of due police force being drained by overtime pay, allegedly so officers can work extended shifts as part of his personal security. For a town with an already strained budget, this has hit a nerve with residents. There's even talk of Dolton's recent water main break, a reminder that while the town's infrastructure crumbles, the resources are tied up elsewhere. For many, the water break was a stark symbol of Henyard's misplaced priorities. Basic services are being neglected, while police resources and budgets are reportedly redirected to support her personal security. Sometimes we get invoices, but those invoices lead to more questions, and sometimes we don't get questions, answers to those questions. And so it's not about clickbait, it's about just making sure the right thing is. And then there, her re-election bid. In the middle of all this chaos, Henyard is doubling down, announcing that she's running for another term as Dolan's mayor. She's branded herself the supermayor and even the people's choice, as if all the controversies and scandals are just background noise. But Dolton's residents aren't buying it. There's been little traditional campaigning. Instead, Henyard's approach seems to be a massive publicity campaign with her face plastered across billboards and carefully staged public events. It's as if she believes her larger-than-life presence is enough to drown out the growing concerns. Clickbait, huh? All right, I guess anything else. I get sue all the time. Y'all opponents like trusty Jason House aren't sitting quietly, though House and others have banded together to form the Clean House slate, openly challenging Henyard's leadership and calling for an administration that values transparency and accountability. They're not shy about saying they want Yard out, and they've even got a solid base of residents supporting them. People in Dolton are tired of what they call Henyard's celebrity mayor antics and want someone who will put the community first. As Dolton braces for the election, the atmosphere is tense. Henyard supporters claim she's a trailblazer fighting for Dolton, even if her methods are unconventional. Her critics, though, see her as a leader who's lost sight of her role, too wrapped up in her image to realize the damage she's doing. Even some of her previous backers are stepping forward, admitting they regret